She has a number of other titles and accomplishments, including serving as the program coordinator for leadership and service at Temple University. And in her spare time, whatever there is, she's the superintendent of the African Episcopal Church of St. Thomas Church School. We don't have enough time to run down all of her accomplishments, but Ms. Wilson is a true advocate for economic empowerment, and I am thrilled to have her join us to share her perspective and her insight on financial literacy. Welcome, Ms. Philadelphia, Ms. Tynecia Wilson, to the Black Millennial Investors Money Mindfulness Podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. So I guess I want to start off today a little bit with asking you a little bit about your background and how you came to get involved in the pageant world. So first of all, let's give us some background on your background.
All right, cool. So pageant world, we'll start there. So during my undergraduate degree, and like you said in my introduction, thank you so much for all my accomplishments. But I started at Temple University in 2016. And my first pageant was in 2019, and that was the Miss Soca Caribbean Queen pageant. And so I was Miss Trinidad and Tobago. My family's from Trinidad. And so that was the first time that I was in pageantry. And funny enough, for that pageant, we had to interview for our positions, and they gave away the Miss Trinidad title to someone else. And a couple months later, she actually had to drop out of the pageant. And so they called me and they were like, "Hey, are you still interested?" And I was like, yes. And then I got into the pageant and then I won. And so that's pretty much like the start of it. After that, I won Homecoming Queen. So that was 6 months later after my first win. Following that was COVID, so there was no pageants happening at the time. And then in 2021, I won another pageant. And then after that, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to take pageantry more seriously. Let's look into the Miss America organization. And so that's when I found Miss Philadelphia, and that was back in 2022. So I competed then. I got first runner-up, and then I took a mini break, a little pageant hiatus.
Not too long, though.
Not too long.
Okay.
Not too long, because now it's 2024. I competed again, and here I am, Miss Philadelphia, the title that I wanted so bad. It's still so surreal when people are like, "Hi, Miss Philadelphia," and I'm like, "Wait, are you talking to me?" And it's like, "Yeah, I'm Miss Philadelphia."
Well, as a Philadelphia native, I'm going to backtrack just a little bit of background. As a Philadelphia native, I mean, so it's impactful that you can, rise to that, that role and have that accolade and accomplishment. Tell our viewers a little bit about your background in Philadelphia.
Yeah. So I was West Philadelphia, born and raised. So I went to my elementary school. I went to Ad Prima Charter School. For high school, I went to Central High, which a lot of people know. So if anyone's watching from Central, I'm 275.
275.
But I was involved in a number of different educational nonprofits, which pretty much pushed me into wanting to be inside the education space. And so I was a part of Stepping Stone Scholars, which was a big part of my life, which now is called Heights. And so now I'm a part of their Young Friends Committee, so leading that charge and helping in mentoring students. But everything I was a part of in Philadelphia, whether that was dance or cheer or education or just fitness, like whatever the case was, Philly has poured so much into me. And so to be Miss Philadelphia now and to have the opportunity to either go to different schools, work with different organizations, host different workshops for our community and for our students, it's like, Philly gave so much to me, and now I have the opportunity to give back, not just, as a community leader, but also as Miss Philadelphia.
Well, that's really beautiful. And then as Miss Philadelphia, I was really struck by your platform on financial literacy, financial education. Mm-hmm. And so with your background and also being in the pageant world, I want to explore a little bit with you about what's the motivation behind that.
Sure.
For choosing financial literacy, financial education, which Black Millennial Investors, that's our entire mission, is to empower people of color to achieve generational wealth, but also to address the trauma of economic discrimination that has played a role in our prosperity, if you will. So I'd love to hear, your perspective and why financial literacy.
Yeah, so my journey in financial literacy actually started, I want to say, a little bit before COVID. And so I tell this story often, and this is also part of my pitch back in 2022. But I said, America runs on Dunkin', and so did I, until one day I checked my bank account and I was like, where is all my money going? Right? And so that's kind of how it starts. And I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. We spend a lot of our money on food or just like frivolous spending, and it's always small. It's like $10 here, $8 here, $5 here, whatever, and it all adds up. So that's how it started for me. But I know for other people, their financial journey, it can start with like a life or death decision where it's like, if I just had a little more money in this moment, a lot of things could have been different for me. And so I'm grateful that it was like, oh, I'm spending all my money at Dunkin'. Let me take a second and really look at my expenses and look at my finances. But like I just said, for other people, it's not like that. It's, I'm getting ready to lose my home. I don't have electricity or gas to heat up the place where my children are sleeping, or I have to choose between going to the doctor or putting food on the table. So it's like, we see finances is so connected to every portion of our lives. Another thing that I was just doing research on, we see like a lot of divorces are from financial arguments or financial conversations that people are either not comfortable to have before the problem gets too large, or it's like, hey, why aren't we talking about finances? Why don't we have this language? Why aren't we comfortable enough to have these conversations? And you can see what divorces lead to inside of our families, inside of schools. Children are more likely to fail, more likely to drop out, more likely to experience things like sexual abuse or sexual harassment when they're coming from a single parent household. Right. And so with that being just one aspect that's connected to finances, we could think about all the other things that are connected to it. And so my platform, which is Teaching to Wellness, which does advocate for financial literacy, not just in our classrooms, but to bring the conversation to all conversations. Why aren't we talking about finances more? Why is it still such a taboo topic to ask someone, hey, how much do you make, right? Yeah. Or how much do people make inside of this industry, or whatever the case may be? Being able to have these conversations can change the trajectory for a lot of people. And it's like, if we were just comfortable enough to talk about it, right? Or if we had the language and the education to actually talk about it. And so those are the two things. It's either we don't want to talk it because we're not comfortable, or we don't have the knowledge to talk about it anyway. Right. And so with my platform, definitely getting inside of schools, getting into communities, like, hey, finances is for everyone. Financial literacy is not just for the people at the top. It's not for people who don't look like you. It's for people who look like us. Right. And so that is my goal for not just being Miss Philadelphia. I mean, that is my platform right now. But that's something I've always talked about. And even back when I first competed, back in 2019, I remember I gave a lesson to students on entrepreneurship, and these were first graders. And so they were so excited. They're like, I'm going to teach y'all about this big word, entrepreneurship, that some of y'all can't even spell, but it's right up here. So let's talk about it, right?
Can they spell it?
It was up there. It was up there for them. Like, y'all see the word. If you can't spell, it's okay, because when you see it again, you know what it is. So I'm telling them about entrepreneurship, and I'm like, hey, what do you like to do? Or what do you like to eat? They're like, oh, I like to eat pizza. And I was like, do you know how many sources of income? So I also taught them about that too, like what sources of income is. But I'm like, okay, you like pizza. Do you know you can make money by teaching people how to make pizza? Do you know you can make money by making videos of you eating pizza or making pizza? You can open a pizza shop. You can tour the world eating different pizzas, making reviews. And it's like so many different things can come from this one passion of yours. And that was also another thing I tried to show and combine with them, like, hey, entrepreneurship, money, this can all be fueled with your passions.